5 plus 100 plus 150 plus 200 is equal to 4 times question mark. Well, if we add this side, that's going to be, I believe, 500. And therefore, we're basically saying 4 times what is equal to 500? Well, divide both sides by 4. So 500 divided by 4 is that question mark. I've just used a box. And therefore, 500 divided by 4 is 125. So that question mark basically is 125, and therefore the answer is C. I began with $6.80 in dimes. I made 10 piles of dimes each with the same number of dimes of the following, which could have been the number of dimes left over. So $6.80 in dimes. The dime, as you know, is 10 cents. So that's obviously $6.80 divided by 10 cents is the number of dimes, and that's 68. So we have 68 dimes, basically. So if we have 10 piles, we're going to have 10 piles, and each pile, I don't know how many is in each pile, so I'll just call it X. And then you're going to have some remainder, and that's going to equal 68, basically. That's the math. So I guess that's how you figure it out. So it looks to me the remainder is going to be some thing that has an 8 in it. Because, for example, if this 10x was 60, the remainder would be 8. If the 10x was 50, the remainder would be 18, and so on, right? 40 would be 28, and then 30 would be 38, and then 20 would be 48, like that. So if you look at the answer choices, there's only one that has an 8 in it, and that's D. And that would basically happen when x is 2. When x is 2, that would be 20 plus 48, which is 68. So it would be 10 piles of dimes, each with 2 dimes in it. Round the sum 0.999 plus 8.88 to the nearest hundredth. So first let's do that math. 999 plus 8.88, 0. And when you add those two up, you get 9.879. Now we have to round this to the nearest hundredth. This is the 10th, this is the 100th, so that'll be 9.88. And that would be C. If I finish my 17-hour race against the clock at midnight, I began at. So midnight is the equivalent of 2,400 hours. Now we're having to subtract 17 hours from that. So that's basically what you do. And then that is 24 minus 17 is 7. And it's 7 a.m. So B is the answer for number 4. 4 squared plus 2 squared is 5 squared minus. So 4 squared plus 2 squared is 5 squared minus something. Okay, so let's just put that as x. I'm not sure why they use a question mark, but that's okay. 16 plus 4 is 25 minus x. So that means 25 minus 20 is x, and therefore x is equal to 5. And 5 is 5. So that's D. Of the following, which has the greatest value? Okay, let's convert all of these into the same, like a power of 10. Well, this is already a power of 10. This would be 10 times 10 to the power of 2, which is 10 to the power of 3, right? This is 10 times 10, which is 10 to the power of 2. This is 10 times 1, which is just 10. So obviously, A is by far the biggest one. 3 to the power of 3 plus 3 squared plus 3 to the power of 1. Okay, 3 to the power of 3 plus 3 to the power of 2 plus 3 to the power of 1. So 3 to the power of 3 is 27, 3 squared is 9, and 3 to the power of 1 is just 3, so that's 39. But 39 is not one of the answer choices, so you have to figure out which one of the answer choices is equivalent to 39. And the one that's equivalent to 39 is D, 3 times 13, which is 39. Folding a square in half along one of its diagonals forms 2. Okay, well, let's do it. So here's a square. If I fold it along its diagonals, well, that's obvious. I have formed 2 triangles. So the answer is A. 1/2 times 1 day is equal to something times 1 week. So 1/2 times 1 day is equal to something, well, again, we'll call it X, times 1 week. Okay, so 1 week is 7 days. So 7 days times something is 1/2 times 1 day. Let's convert. Well, it's already as a day, right? So, okay. So this is really just 1/2 is equal to 7x. Therefore, x is equal to 1 over 14. Yeah, 1 over 14. So 9 is C. You just got to make sure that the units is the same, day and day. 10 million divided by 100,000 equals. So what's 10 million? 1 0 and then 0 0 0 0 0. So that's 10 million, and divided by 100,000. So 100,000 is 5 zeros. So therefore that, and calculators are allowed, and just in case you need them, that's 100. So 100 is B. A ream of paper contains 500 sheets. A case contains 20 reams. A case of 20 reams contains. All right. Okay, so 20 reams. How many sheets? I guess all the answer choices are in sheets. Okay, I got it. So 21 ream is 500 sheets. So 20 times 500 would be the answer, and I believe that's 10,000. So 10,000 sheets. And that's D. Is it D? Yes. Of the following, which has the greatest hundredths digit? Okay, hundredths digit. So let me just underline all the hundredths digits. So it's this guy, this one, and this. Well, this one actually is 0. They didn't put it in, but I'll put it in. So we have 8, 9, 6, and 0. Of those 4 numbers, which one is the greatest? Well, obviously it's the 9. So B is the answer. When I multiply 111 by 999, the product will contain. Okay, so just take out your calculator and just do it, and it'll be 110889, and that's 6 digits. So the answer is A. The number 40 is 30 more than 40 less than. So 40 is equal to some number plus 30 minus 40. So that's the algebra. That's the sort of the interpretation of that sentence. And therefore x would be 50 when you do that math. So the answer is B. I read 3 science fiction books, 4 math books, and 1 cookbook. What percent of these books were nonfiction? Well, first of all, how many books are total? 3, 4, and 1, so that's 8. And then the nonfiction, I guess, would be the math book and the cookbook. So there's 5 of those guys. So 5 over 8, and that's 62.5% when you calculate it. And that's D. If the square root of the perimeter of a square is 6, then the area of the square is. So if you have a square, you got the sides. The perimeter is 4x. The square root of that, they're saying, is equal to 6. So then they want you to figure out the area. Well, first let's figure out what x is. So if I square both sides, I'll get 36, and therefore x is equal to 9. Now the area of the square is basically x squared, and therefore since x is 9, that would be 81. And therefore the answer is C. I sell help flags in only the following ways: 3 for $1, 2 for 75 cents, and or 1 for 40 cents. The least for which I sell 35 help flags is, okay, so if we want the least cost, we have to go for the best bargain, which I believe is that 3 for $1, which would be 33 cents. 2 for 75 would be 37.5 cents each, and then obviously 1 for 40 is 40 cents each. So if I want the least, I want to use the best bargain as much as possible. So I've got 35. So let me see, how many times does 3 go into 35? 11, right? So we'll do the 11 times. So 11 of those would would be 3 for $1, so 11 times 1. Wait, let me think about this. Should be pretty straightforward. Maybe I'm just getting confused. Yeah, 11 times $1. I was right. And then we still got two more left over, right? Because those 11 batches of 3 is 33. But there's 35, so that means I still got 2 left over. And for the 2, I'll choose the best possible remaining deal, which is 2 for 75 cents. So then I just have to add that 75 cents. So the total will be $11.75. And therefore, that's A. 2 times 500 plus 2 times 501. Okay, well, 100. 2 times 500 is 1,000. 2 times 501 is 1,002. And then therefore, the total would be 2,002. And 2002 is oh, okay, I got it. Then we got to figure out which one of the answer choices is equal to 2002. They don't have the 2002. Okay, well, that one is B, because 500 plus 501 is 1001, and then 1001 times 2 is 2002. So that's how that is 2002. What is the reciprocal of? Okay, well, first of all, let's figure out what that is. It'd be 8 times 13 times 3 times 18. And the reciprocal would be to flip it. So it'd be 3 times 18 over 8 times 13, correct? Now we got to look at the answer choices and see which one of those is this guy. 3 and the 18 are on the top, so this is the only one. 3 and the 18 are on the top, and then 8 and the 13 are on in the denominator. So that would be D for number 19. I'm equilateral. My perimeter is 36. My side is longest when I'm. Okay, well, let's see. This is a triangle. This is a square. This is a rhombus. And hexagon. This is a hexagon. Now, equilateral basically means that all sides are the same. So if the perimeter is 36, then that means each of these sides is 12. The perimeter of 36 for a square would mean each of those sides is 9. And I believe that's the same for the rhombus, or at least I hope it is. 36 divided by 6 is 6, so each of those sides is 6. So, looking at the diagrams, which side is longest? Well, the 12, and that happens when I am a triangle. How many whole number factors of 36 are divisible by 2? Okay, well, how many factors are there of 36? If you break this into prime factors, it's 2 to the power of 2 times 3 to the power of 2. And that means there's 2 plus 1 times 2 plus 1 factors. So that's 3 times 3, the 9 factors. And those 9 should be able, without too much difficulty, to list them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 12, 18, and 36. So is that 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes. Now, how many of these are divisible by 2? Well, obviously just the ones that are even. So circle the even ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 is the answer, and therefore number 21 is B. Increasing the average of 20 numbers by 2 increases their sum by. So we have a certain sum. We don't know what it is, so let's just call it sum. And if you divide by 20, you get the average, correct? So the sum is basically equal to the average times 20, so 20A. Then what they're saying is that you take that same sum, and again you divide by 20, but this time the average is 2 more. And now they're saying, how much did you increase the sum by? Well, if you cross multiply, you get sum is equal to 20A plus 40. So if you compare this to this, obviously this sum is now 40 more than that sum. So we've increased the sum by 40, and therefore number 22, the answer is D. 2 plus 3 plus 4 over 8 plus 9 plus 10 is equal to question mark over 8 minus 1 plus 9 minus 1 plus 10 minus 1. Okay, so 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 9. And 8 plus 9 plus 10 is 27. And then this, we'll just put x there. And then that's what? 7 plus 8 plus 9. And that's 24. So this is 1 over 3 is equal to x over 24. Cross multiply and you get 24 is equal to 3x, and therefore x is equal to 24 divided by 3, which is 8. So C is the answer. If 15 scoops of ice cream weighs 2 kg, then 13 scoops weighs. So, 5 scoops. Ugh. So 5 over 2 is the equivalent of 13 over x. That's sort of the algebra of this question. So cross multiply and you get 5x is equal to 26, and therefore x is equal to 26 over 5. So 26 over 5 would be C. Of the following, root 4 plus root 16 is closest in value to. Root 4 plus root 16. Root 4 is 2, root 16 is 4, so that's 6, right? Now we have to figure out which one of those is closest to 6. Okay, ballpark estimate, that's about 3 point something. This is about 4 point something. This is exactly 8, and this is exactly 10. So 6 is obviously closest to the 4 point something, correct? On the number line, if this is 6, this is 8, this is 4, this is 5, that 4 point is somewhere here, and the 8 is here, so this distance is obviously closer than that distance. So the answer is B for number 25. 1/4 of 1/4%. So 1/4% is basically the equivalent of 1 over 4 times 1 over 100. And then we want 1/4 of that. So 1/4 times 1/4 over 1 over 100. And that's really 1 over 16 times 1 over 100, which is exactly 1 over 16%. And therefore, that would be A. How long is the diameter of a circle whose area is pi? So pi r squared is equal to pi. So r squared would be equal to 1. So r is 1. And the diameter is equal to 2r. So the diameter would be 2. So number 27, the answer is D. What is the greatest common factor of root 16 and root 64? Root 16 is 4. Root 64 is 8. Right? So the greatest common factor, something that can go divide into both of them, is 4. 4 goes into 4, and 4 also goes into 8, obviously. So the greatest one would be 4. C is the answer. Divide a square of side length 6 into 4 triangles by drawing both diagonals of the square the area of one of the triangles is. Okay, so we got, okay, so that's the diagram. And we want 2 diagonals, okay? And the area of one of these, okay, so, well, the full area would be 6 times 6, right, of the whole square, which is 36. Now, if we divide it into 4 triangles, they're equal in their area, so each of them would be 36 divided by 4, which is 9. So 9 would be B for number 29. How many prime numbers less than 200 are one more than the square of an integer? All right. Well, one more than the square of an integer. Okay, well, I guess we'll do this the long way. We have 1 squared, 2 squared, and so on. 3 squared. And then what are we going up to? Well, 200, what is the square root of 200? I don't even know. It's about 14 something, I think. 14 point, because 15 squared is 225, 14 squared is 196. So I guess we're going up to 14. So it's not so bad. I guess it could be worse. Okay, so there we go. Now we want to write out one more than each of these. So 1 squared is 1. 1 more than that would be 2. 2 squared is 4. 1 more than that would be 5. 3 squared is 9. 1 more than that, it would be 10, and so on. So you guys get the idea. So this would be 17, 26, 37, 50, 65, 82, 101, 122, 145, 170, and 197. So they're saying, what are they saying? How many of the prime numbers less than are, okay, so how many of these are prime? Okay, I got it. So, well, that's a prime, 17 is a prime, 37 is prime, 101 is prime, and 197. So all the others are not prime. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So 6 is the answer. 30 is B. Pat's current age will triple in 18 years, twice Pat's current ages. So Pat's current age, let's just call it A for age. It will triple in 18 years, so that means A plus 18. So that's the first equation. So that means 2A is 18, and therefore A is 9. But they don't want the age. They want twice of her, his or her. Pat could be a boy or a girl. So 2A is 18. Patrick or Patricia, two possible names that shorten to Pat. So 2A is 18, therefore 31 is C. The median of those numbers. Okay, so median questions, you got to arrange these from, smallest to largest. So 1 over 7, 1 over 6, 1 over 5, 1 over 4, 1 over 3, and 1 over 2. Now, the median would be the middle one, but there is no middle because there's an even number. So you got to take the middle 2 and take the average. So you got to take 1 over 5, 1 over 4, and take the average of that. And so common denominator, so that's going to be 4 plus 5 over 20 times 1 over half, so that's 9 over 20 times 1 over half, so 9 over 40. And 9 over 40 is D. In a poll of more than 1 million people, exactly 16 2/3% felt run down. The exact number of people polled could have been. So 16.6 repeat over 100, that's basically the equivalent of this, 16 2/3 percentage of some number is going to be, I guess, an integer. Yeah, so put that in there. Okay, and then for x, we're going to put in either 2 million, 4 million, 6 million, 8 million, and so on. So this is a 0.16 repeat, and if I put 2 million, I get 333,300.3, so that's not an integer. And then if I put in 4 million, I will get I will not get 4. I will get 666.6. Again, not an integer. But if I put in 6 million and then multiply by this 0.16 repeat, then I will get exactly 1 million. And that's an integer, so therefore the answer is C. What fraction of a meter is 35 over 4 centimeters? So 35 over 4 divided by 100. That's how you would figure that out, because there's 100 centimeters in 1 meter. So therefore that is 35 over 400, and that's in lowest terms 7 over 80. So 7 over 80 is B. The square root of 81, and then the square root of that is equal to something squared, so I'll call it x. So therefore, first let's figure out this side. We have square root of 81 is 9, so that becomes 9 square root, and the square root of 9 is 3, and that becomes 3 is equal to x squared, and then take the square root of both sides to get 3, root 3, and that would be x, so therefore that would be A. The least possible sum of a positive number and its reciprocal is the least possible sum of a positive number plus its reciprocal. Okay? Well, I actually just looked at the answer choices. Could it be equal to 0, 1, 2, or 2.5? And this, if you add this fraction, if you'd get a common denominator, it's x squared plus 1 over x, right? Could it be equal to 0? And that means x plus 1 would have to be 0, and that's not possible because x squared would therefore have to be negative 1, which is not possible. So that one's out. Could it be equal to 1? X squared plus 1 is equal to 1. That means x squared plus 1 is equal to x, and then there would be x squared minus x plus 1 is equal to 0. And this would not give you an integer solution. Yeah. So therefore, that one's out. So it looks to me like the candidate is probably this 2. That means x squared plus 1 over x is 2, and therefore x squared plus 1 is equal to 2x, and therefore x squared minus 2x plus 1 is 0. And then this factors into x minus 1 squared is 0, and therefore indeed x is equal to 1, and therefore if x is equal to 1, then that would be 1 plus 1, which is 2. So a little bit of experimentation with the answer choices would be enough to get that question. If the lengths of 3 sides of a triangle are consecutive integers, which of the following could be the perimeter? So consecutive integers are x, x plus 1, and x plus 2. And the perimeter, therefore, you'd have to add them. So x plus 1 plus x plus 2. And therefore that would be 3x plus 3. Okay. So obviously it's, if you divide through by 3, you get 3 times x plus 1. So the perimeter is a multiple of 3. So which one of these numbers is a multiple of 3? And I think the only one that's a multiple of 3 is 2001, because 2001 is 3 times 667. So 2001 is the answer. 1 over 2 times 1 over 3 divided by 2 times 3 is equal to question mark times a third. So let's do the 1 over 2 times 1 over 3, and then dividing it by 2 times 3, and then say x times 1 over 3. Okay. Instead of the question mark, I'm using x. So this is 1 over 6 divided by 6, and this is x over 3. So 1 over 6 divided by 6, so invert and multiply. So we get 1 over 6 times 1 over 6, and that's 1 over 36 is equal to x over 3. If you cross multiply, you get 3 is equal to 36x, and then that would be 3 over 36 is equal to x, and therefore x is equal to 1 over 12. And 1 over 12 is A. I drive at a speed of 40 kilometers an hour. I can drive 50% farther in 50% less time if I increase my speed too. So if you're driving 40 kilometers an hour, let's just say in 1 hour, you would drive 40 kilometers. Now, I want to drive 50% farther in 50% less time. So we want to drive 50% farther. So we want to actually get to 60 kilometers, and we want to do it in 50% less time. So we want to do it in 1/2 hour. And then they're asking what's the speed. Well, speed is equal to distance over time. So distance in this case is 60. The time is 1/2. So therefore that would be 120 kilometers per hour. And therefore number 39 is C. How many positive even numbers are factors of 3 to the 5 times 2 to the 5? Okay, well, 3 to the 5 times 2 to the 5. Now, to figure out the number of factors, you take this number and add 1, and then take this number and add 1, and then you multiply them. So it would be 6 times 6. So there's 36 total factors. Now, we want to know of those 36, how many are even? Okay, well, anything that has a 2 in it will be even, no matter what, how many 3's it has, if it doesn't have 3's. So the only ones that are going to be odd are the ones that do not have a 2. So the ones that are odd are 3 to the power of 0, 3 to the power of 1, 3 to the power of 2, 3 to the power of 3, 3 to the power of 4, and 3 to the power of 5. Every other factor is going to include something that has a 2 in it. So those will be all even. So these are the odd ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the total. So the even would be the total minus the odd, which is 36 minus 6, which is 30. And therefore, number 40, the answer is D.